Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's your boy KJ5 to the 2. You're listening to
Yo, what
ampedradio.
they do? It's your boy Official, and I just came by to encourage my brother SA with ampedradio and whoever else is part of this.
Yo, what's good, fam? This your boy DM, and you listening to SA from Death to Self Records on ampedradio. Check it out.
Covered in the blood while he hung, cause he drifted wet. While he was in the garden.
What up? It's your boy Bishop Chase, man. You know, just wanted to leave a shout out to my man SA. Man, you doing big things, man. Keep repping Christ. You know, keep doing what you're doing. I love what you're doing with the show, man. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Youngtown.
Girl LS.
Fresh name.
This is Kim Graham.
I just want to encourage y'all to be checking out ampedradio, one of the hottest radio shows on the web right now, for your music to be played as well as other music to be played as well as your music and stuff like that. Hey, you listening to ampedradio. You know what I mean? Just keep doing what you do, man. God moves. Alright, bro. One love.
Keep it locked right here.
Hey, yo, what's good, everybody? It's your boy SA, CEO and founder of D2S Records, and of course, as you know, the host of the one and only Amped Radio. You were listening to episode 3, and we are only going strong, guys. I am so excited. I also want to make a special announcement that I'm going to talk to you about a little bit later in the show, so be sure to remind me of that. And today's topic, just so you know, we're going to be talking about social media. And is it the new religion? I know, I'm going to be explaining that more, and we're going to get into this topic here in a minute. But first off, I got some songs that I want to play for you guys, so stay tuned. We'll be back. Right now, coming up is Rhetoric with No Emotion, followed by Conscious with I Fell. It's your boy SA, and you were in the mix right here in Amped Radio. I will talk to you guys in just a little bit, but right now, enjoy the music.
Yeah.
We'll be right back.
I'm so blessed, but I still find myself here, wondering what to do with my life. Lately I haven't been feeling inspired, I'm feeling defeated, I'm just tired. Can't believe I'm on this level already. Sometimes I feel like I've been holding on for so long. I can't let go, the anger builds, all of this is usual. I feel like I've, but I haven't. Never will I, never will I, never will I, never will I. I feel like I've got no more emotion, I'm holding all these thoughts, I'm not joking. I think that I'ma explode, and just know that I haven't done it all, and I never will do it all. And here I am, it's all I am, and that's all I've got. In 21 years of life, I barely scratched the surface. I know somewhere deep down there's a purpose, I'ma keep on searching. I think I found it, but then I just let it go. I shouldn't have done that, cause now I'm back on the same dark road. I'm not alone, that I know, that's for sure. I feel like I've been alone, never know what's for sure. I'm positive that there's a few tests that I haven't did. They're like a picture undeveloped, my whole project is a negative, and now I know what it is. I feel like I've, but I haven't. Never will I, never will I, never will I, never will I. I feel like I've got no more emotion, I'm holding all these thoughts, I'm not joking. I think that I'ma explode, and just know that I haven't done it all, and I never will do it all. And here I am, is all I am, and that's all I've got. At this level I've got 2 jobs and I hate one of them. I feel so disrespected and acknowledging. I just wanna fast straight up and leave right out of there, but I know if I do that I'd be up the creek without a paddle. But even still it pays my bills, though I'm a version lesser than me. I just wanna go right up to the face and yell and scream, though they won't get the point. I feel better and it seems I'm talking right behind their back, and how does it feel? You feel like me, huh? I feel like I've, but I haven't. Never will I,
trying to do anything for people is give them hope. You know what I'm saying? It's paint a picture of inspiration. It's tell a story and to articulate life from a whole different paradigm. You know what I'm saying? And so there's a lot of issues and a lot of realities that are not spoken on in music. And you know, some of those realities I enjoy talking about.
I had to see it for myself. The cost was stale, lost and frail, locked in jail. I told God I'd be back, thought that he bailed. He was there but couldn't see me when off the trail. Thrill seeking into pleasures and often failed. Had me caught up in a trap, shocked and pale. Forgot the map detoured and it dropped the sail. Got evicted from my home and it stopped the mail. The story was limitless with the pain. Idle to women, remember what it became. The news she gave me delivered it with a bang. Shivering in the rain, feeling simple and plain. School was worse, athletics soaked in passion. I thought that I was great but felt pathetic, so I asked him, Coach, what's the percentage that I ain't average? Gave me a look that had me feeling like a basket. Swoosh! Trash, irony. Sports, I knew it had said goodbye to me. My thoughts went Porsche to Buick in a rivalry, violent aside denial of things that I thought that I would be. Picked up a mic again, it's time again, beats again, seeking him in line, trying to rhyme again. Attention came from the therapy that I painted, but attention turned to me and not him. Dang it, I fell flat. What would you do? In a position, try and live what you used to. In the end, you just wanted to be useful. I'm trying to live, so tell me what would you do? Tell me what would you do? You do. Tell me what would you do? You do. While I was trying to live, the devil had me doing voodoo. But who knew? Only God, he was waiting till I left what I was used to. Could it be my perspective's a little tainted, reflections a little vacant, letting it start changing, peddling into Satan and letting him get my patience. Tried to serve the Lord, never wanted to betray him. Thrill seeking into pleasures, but not for him, at the expense of a treasure inside within. Robbed again, lost again. I fell flat up on my face and the cost was grim. I started to see that God intervened. A horror movie turned good, remodeled the scene. I felt awful for the flaws I wanted to clean. I built my foundation up and he brought me a queen. As far as sports, my athletics went to train, and my life was a gym with lines used to contain it. Post to 3, continually I would drain it. The game changed, the way I played hard to explain it. I couldn't make the time to let anger aside, portraying what was danger and gave no reply. Blood soaked, deranged, it wouldn't dry. A love note that slayed all of my pride. The void I felt, Americanized, had me feeling like Biggie, ready to die. I'm staring at the sky, barely alive. Scripture etched in my heart, merely to survive. But I fell flat. What would you do? In a position, try and live what you used to. In the end, you just wanted to be useful. I'm trying to live, so tell me what would you do? Tell me what would you do? You do. Tell me what would you do? You do. While I was trying to live, the devil had me doing voodoo. But who knew? Only God, he was waiting till I left what I was used to.
When I grew up, you know, I had family members in prison, and I thought it was normal. Like, you know, being in prison actually was a badge of honor growing up too. So it was kind of like, I didn't realize how detrimental it was and how it wasn't dope. You know, until you get older and you realize, man, like, this is painful. Like, kids are pulled away from families, you know, sons don't get to see their parents, and so on and so forth. So, man, I just wanted to, you know, kind of step in and demonstrate, you know, what love and what consistency and mentorship looks like.
That was Conscience with I Fell. Right after Rhetoric with No Emotion. And if you heard the end of the last episode, you would have heard Rhetoric's song before. We just like to keep these songs in rotation because I don't know how much of the show you actually listen to. So I don't want to feel like, or actually I don't want to make the artists that show up after the message feel like they're not getting a spotlight. You know what I'm saying? And Rhetoric is a friend of mine that I've known for many years, way back in the day. He went by a different name. I don't know if he wants me to put that on blast. I don't think he minds, but you know, I'd rather get permission before I throw it out there. So, Rhetoric, that's your boy showing you respect, all right? Because you know that there's nothing more important to a rapper than his name, right? I mean, this is coming from a guy who calls himself Essay. Yeah, well, anyway, So those were the two songs, and we got a couple more after this. But I wanted to, first off, before we get into the message, give you a little update and just, this is pretty exciting news. So for those of you who know, like I've already mentioned this in the first episode, Amped Radio's been around for years. I mean, years. We've went up to 3, almost 4 seasons, but it was very much off and on. We had a really rocky, I can't even say the right words. We had a rocky start. We started off on iTunes. Then I couldn't keep up with the payments at the time, so we dropped off. Then we partnered up with thesouth.com, Trey Nine's site back in the day. And then once that was done, we kept going, but it was basically just Facebook and YouTube. It was always pre-recorded like this is right now. But I'm really excited to announce that now that we are here, not only on iTunes, but also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, all that good stuff. Now that we're on those platforms, I am also excited to say that we are going to be live streaming every episode on Facebook Live and YouTube Live. So this is incredible. It's definitely a first for us, and with anything, there's always going to be a bit of a rocky start, but I mean, I just invested in some equipment. I just invested in some programs, so it's money out of the pocket, but it's stuff that I'm really excited for, and I think it's definitely worth it. And so what this means for you guys is you could tune in live and you can interact with us live. So whether you're on Facebook or YouTube, whatever your preference is, you can actually submit comments, and if we want, man, we'll read it right there. And we'll be keeping an eye on that. You can submit your requests, anything you want, comments as we're talking about the topic of the day or week. And so this is really cool because we're also going to be inviting some people to interview. I just spoke with someone today, got them booked for episode 10. We're not even past episode 5. I mean, this is episode 3 right here. So I booked a guest for episode 10. I figured, by that time, all the bugs will be, ironed out with the live streaming and all that. So it's gonna be cool, and I'm looking for more opportunities to interview some really prominent, Christian, holy hip hop artists, positive hip hop artists, just people in general that has a good message to share. I really want this to be a platform where you can be encouraged, where you can, just receive something that can benefit your life, because, that's what music is supposed to be. Encouraging, uplifting. And there's some nice mellow jams that, if you just want to cry, it's cathartic, right? So, little James Blunt, what I'm talking about. So there's a little some of that too, but overall, I mean, music I've been hearing over the last few years have been very negative. So I really want this to be a platform to really flip that and change that. And people that have stories to tell, for those who are trying to get in the music industry but can't or have not yet due to discouragement or whatever, I want to bring artists and just guests on the show that can tell you their side of the story, what they're doing, and how they're making it. So this is really a powerful opportunity to bring people here to encourage you. So if you're not already, I highly encourage you to please go ahead and subscribe to Amped Radio, whatever platform you're using right now to listen to this on. If it is YouTube, if it is Facebook, if it is iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, whatever it is, go ahead and subscribe and stay tuned, because this is just the very beginning. Especially when we go, do live streaming. I mean, it's just going to be incredible. I'm really excited for this, guys. So anyway, go ahead and subscribe. And if you are an artist, I want to say this once, and I'll say it again. Go ahead and send your submissions, all right? So send your submissions to ampedradio at death2selfrecords.com. That's death2selfrecords.com. It's actually a spiritual meaning. It's not suicide. It's denying the flesh so that the spirit could be raised. Luke 9:23-24. All right, so let's get into today's topic. We are talking about social media. And is it the new religion? I don't know. What do you think? It's crazy because I actually forgot to put my timer on, so there we go. All right, so is social media the new religion? Now, what do I mean by that? First of all, I know I'm going to be dating myself here, but if you were raised in the 90s, you had a good life. You had a good upbringing. You had a good childhood. The 90s was probably the best time ever to be a fan of rap music and even a fan of holy hip hop, because like, who remembers Grape Tree Records, right? Who remembers DC Talk? You know, who remembers Carmen? I'm telling you, like, it's just crazy. How about Passes in Disguise, huh? Or No the Verbs, or I mean, Cross Movement, all these guys, man. So the 90s was something, right? Like, I grew up in the 90s, and the thing that you could say about the 90s and even the early 2000s was that we actually got out and breathed fresh air and received sunlight. You know what I'm saying? There's this meme that you could find on Facebook, you know, floating around the internet of kids in our generation, like riding bikes and stuff, and kids in this generation just stuck on their iPhones. And obviously that is a stereotype that doesn't include every child. I mean, can't tell you that that doesn't happen with my kids. They definitely know the iPad backwards and forwards, but it's just different how we didn't even have the option. Like, we didn't have that choice. So, you know, we didn't have, first of all, cell phones. That was an adult thing. And not only an adult thing, at the time it was strictly for business owners. Like, it was a status symbol. If you had a cell phone, or even before that, if you had a car phone, and you were balling, right? You would just, everyone knew that you were in deep business. And if you had a beeper, who remembers that, right? Who remembers? All right, hashtag beeper gum. Go ahead and hashtag beeper gum if you remember that little thing, that box that was shaped and designed to look like a beeper. And then when you pop it open, you had just probably the most stale but still somehow incredible strips of gum in there, right? Who remembers that? Hashtag beeper gum. But you know, they don't have them anymore because nobody has beepers. Hardly anyone has beepers, right? So you can kind of see how things change over time. I mean, obviously technology changes, and there's always this progression forward to, you know, knowing more, learning more, and applying more. So yeah, in my generation, my days as a kid, we didn't have any of that. Cell phones were definitely strictly for the business types. And then eventually, once I got into like the college age, actually, I'm sorry, the late high school, early college age, young kids, like teenagers, would get cell phones, but it wasn't like you wouldn't find anyone under 13 with a cell phone, because it just didn't make sense. And you wouldn't have it to, you know, play games or even to use the camera, because the camera was cruddy all the time, right? It's very pixelated. I think it was like, what, 0.3 megapixels, if that. So, it wasn't a hot commodity the way it is now. Now, fast forward obviously to 2007 when Steve Jobs unveiled the first iPhone. Now, I remember, guys, I don't know if you remember this, but I remember that the iPhone was not really meant to be a consumer device. It wasn't meant to be for everyone. I remember I read the article when they first unveiled the iPhone that it was meant to be for business people. And in fact, there wasn't even gonna be an iTunes store or an Apple, I'm sorry, what is it? An app store, yeah. There wasn't even gonna be an app store. There weren't gonna be like pages on the home screen. You know how you could slide from, you know, page to page to look at all different apps? It was strictly, I think it was like, what, 9 apps. And they were all strictly for like business related stuff. You had the camera, you had the, I think you had the video that connected to YouTube, but you had the email most of all, you had the Safari most of all, you had the chat most of all, you had the calculator most of all. So these things were basic tools, but they were meant to help enhance your business life. So, you know, eventually it got out and you know, kids were rolling around. I remember I was working at Lowe's, right? And like these 2 girls came into Lowe's and they were showing me pictures from their iPhone. And I'm like, how did you get that? That's crazy. That's not for you girls. I mean, they were like probably 16 or something like that. But it just boggled my mind. But then again, it made me see them as kind of like higher class because, first of all, the iPhone, you think the iPhones now are expensive. Back then, we thought the iPhones were expensive even back then in 2007. I mean, obviously, the price inflated, but back then that was still a lot, whatever it was costing, right? So I'm gonna get into the social media part, but I just kind of want to show you how, the progression, how it all came about. Now, if we want to talk about social media, who here remembers how Facebook started? Facebook started actually when it first came out, it wasn't even open to the public. It was actually a tool for college students. You had to have a college email account in order to, to even open up an account on Facebook. And I remember my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, she was in on Facebook because she was living on college campus. I didn't see the need for it. I didn't think Facebook was gonna be anything because, hello, I had MySpace. Shout outs to all the homies out there who, would ride and die for MySpace back in the day, right? With their custom coding and, just having their entire lives out there. I mean, that was the thing. But, yeah, so it's interesting how things change. And so, Facebook and then came Twitter. I had no idea what the whole thing about these hashtags were. It was like, are they coding? Because they're not doing anything. I didn't understand tagging and stuff like that, but eventually all these apps started coming out. Well, actually, no, all these social media sites started coming out, and then they were being adapted into apps on smartphones. I remember Facebook wasn't an app, it was just a website. MySpace wasn't an app, it was just a website. Twitter wasn't an app, it was just a website. But somehow they all became apps, and majority of people use these services on their smartphone devices, right? So think about it. Think about the progression where we are today, how we have these things in our pockets. I mean, I'm holding mine right now. Whether you are an Android user, God bless you, I will pray for you guys. Or if you are an iPhone user, or even worse, if you still have a BlackBerry or a Windows phone, and I'm not trying to hate. I'm just trying to, I'll still pray for you, but still. Anyway, so, we have these devices in our pockets 24/7, and they are so much better than what we had, over 17 years ago, like almost 20 years ago. You know what I'm saying? The flip phones that we had, the Motorola Razrs, I don't know, but like I had Nokia phones, I had Sprint phones. I mean, these phones were really cool for our day, but then compare those phones to what we have now. The amount of power and knowledge that we have on our phones, in our pockets, in our possession every day is just incredible, isn't it? I mean, you've heard this before, but just take a step back and really think about it. Really think about that. There was something, I don't know, if you are a fan or were a fan of a show called Boy Meets World, go ahead and hit me up on Facebook and hashtag it Boy Meets World fan. I was a huge fan of Boy Meets World, but Mr. Feeney, that's right, Mr. Feeney, the original OG. Mr. Feeney, he said something, and this was back in the 90s before smartphones came out, but he said something about, he was talking about the internet. He says, back in the day, like in the early centuries, early civilizations, society would crave for one book to be produced once a year. And in today's society, we have a new, I don't know what he said exactly. He says we get like 1,000 web pages every 10 seconds. And how do we use the vast potential of all this knowledge that we have? Fighting King Koopa and saving the princess. And then he was like, shame on you, shame on you. And I know that's kind of a silly thing to bring up, but there's a point to that. And that's where it comes to, is social media a new religion for us? Now, one thing, if you are a Christian, if you are a follower of Christ, you know that there's not supposed to be anything above, Christ, above serving the Lord, above serving God. And unfortunately, the way it goes is if you put anything before your time with God, if you do anything before keeping Him first, which is, do you pray every day? Do you read your Bible every day? Do you observe the Sabbath? Do you go to a house to worship God? Do you know what I'm saying? If you live in the lifestyle, following God, just putting Him first. If there's anything that comes before that, well, you have a different God because you're serving that before you're serving God. And so, I just want to tell myself, I'm guilty for this too. Once I roll out of bed, the first thing I do is I grab my phone, and instead of loading up the Bible app, which is what I should be doing, I'm flipping over to see what my Facebook updates were. And, that's just a testament right there. And that just goes to show you what's first on my mind when I wake up in the morning, when it should be, man, God woke me up today, and I am so happy. I just got to read something from His Word. It's that hunger and that craving. So, social media can absolutely be a religion for you, because a religion is basically just a set of, it's a lifestyle, if you want to just take it down to the bare bones, but it's how you live your life. It's a list of rules, a list of guidelines, a way that you perceive things. And so it's your perception, it's, your lifestyle. And we all seem to be stuck in this religion because, come on, we all got smartphones, we all got these smart apps, and we all check them religiously. But yet, how religious are we with checking what's in the Word of God? How religious are we in spending time in prayer, on our knees, submitting unto Him, raising our voices in worship and praise, just thanking Him for just another day of life? And the fact that we can breathe so involuntarily that, every breath that we take is truly a miracle from God. It's truly a blessing from God. It's truly God saying, yes, breathe. Yes, breathe. Yes, breathe. Blood flowing through your veins. Man, we don't regulate that on our own, not consciously, So, man, for everything, every moment that we are alive, man, God should really be number one. And yet, and I know this is like, oh, well, he's just using this whole episode to put us down. That's not what I'm trying to do. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to put something here in perspective for you guys. And this is telling on me too, just like I told on myself earlier. This is for me as much as it is for you, because I look around, there's literally not one person that I know of that isn't constantly checking their phone from day to day, right? Maybe some people check their phones more than others. Some people use their time to, play Angry Birds or, Candy Crush. Others check their Instagrams and their Pinterest and all that stuff. But the point is that we're in this lifestyle where our whole time is consumed by these apps. And that's the truth. And there's nothing wrong with it in and of itself. Let me make that clear. I'm not saying that it's a sin. I'm not saying thou shalt not checketh thine Facebook in the morning. I'm not saying thou shalt not open a Twitter account. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is put this in perspective. Who is first in your life? What is first in your life? How do you spend your day? First and foremost. And we just have to be real. A lot of people just don't like being convicted because they don't want their feelings hurt. But I just gotta be real because, first of all, two things. One, I'm naturally rude. I'm from the Bronx. I'm rude. My mouth opens up and stuff comes out. And as much as I try to not be so, argumentative and all that stuff, it's just my DNA. So anyway, I'm a rude New Yorker. And it's a stereotype because not all New Yorkers are rude. But also, I come from a generation, again, I started off with talking about kids from the 90s, where we pretty much just told it like it is because our parents always told it like it is. And our grandparents always told it like it is. It wasn't until later in life when, you know, the later versions of, you know, generations and all that, kids just, I don't know, it's weird. I mean, I'm still part of that generation, the millennials, right? So there's a lot of millennials that, and I'm not trying to open a can of worms here, but a lot of people can be pretty sensitive, you know, and the word offense and offended is now a really big thing. So, you know, I'm trying to play by your rules here. I'm trying not to be offensive, but at the same time, I do have to be convicting you, because otherwise this whole thing is just pointless. And you came here to learn something. So if this is convicting you, then let it just be a trigger to tell you something's got to change. I'm not saying throw away your cell phones. I'm not saying smash your iPhones. I'm not saying burn your Androids. Okay, maybe you should burn your Android. You got to know when I'm joking and when I'm not. But you know what I'm saying? I'm not telling you to do all that. What I am telling you is remember that the perspective has to change. That these marvelous devices, because they are incredible, really think about the amount of thought that goes into creating a smartphone. All the crazy codes in there, all the programming that goes into it, all the people that it takes to create the entire experiences that you have and that you get to enjoy from your smartphones. It's amazing. It really is. The potential of mankind, which stems from what God has given us, is just, all you gotta do is look at your smartphone and realize the potential that mankind has. But I also want to reiterate, on the side of smartphones and all this, is how do we use that time anyway that we're on our phones, right? I mean, what's the most underused app that we have? Probably Safari. Well, on smartphones. If it's on Google, what do you have? Chrome. Android uses Chrome, right? So, yeah, probably the least used app on our phone is the browser. Now, we may use it to look up restaurants in our area when we're hungry, but even then, now we got what? We got, I don't know, those food delivering apps. But we have all the potential in the world. Like, if you go to college, man, all you need, this pretty much has made libraries obsolete, hasn't it? Because you can access pretty much anything, all sorts of data from here. And most of us don't use it for that. And I also want to bring something else out regarding this. So also on the side of promoting smartphones and everything is the idea that with all this expansive knowledge, we also leave the door wide open for manipulation, for lies and deception. Because let's be real. Again, if you are a Christian, if you are a believer, you know that there is a God, but there's also a devil. And, you know, the devil's really good at what he does. I mean, we don't support him. You know, we pray against him, rebuke him in Jesus' name. But, I mean, he's been around a lot longer than we have, and he's really good at what he does. He's the father of lies, says the Bible, right? So you really gotta acknowledge the fact that if he could find a way to destroy people using our smartphones, he absolutely will. I mean, just look at the whole Momo thing. That's scary as heck. You know, some people say it's a hoax, but other people have shown videos where it's interrupted. So point is, it's obviously a threat. And as a parent, you got to be careful of that kind of stuff. But anyway, my point is that, you know, there's a lot of knowledge out there, but there's also a lot of misinformation as well. And so how do you determine what's right and what's wrong? How do you determine, you know, the right information? Because if you're not properly read, if you're not researching and over and looking at all the facts, looking at, you know, both sides of different stories, scenarios and stuff like that, you know, it's easy for you to just read something, and because we're a society where we got to get our information like that, we just believe whatever we see on headlines, aka clickbait. That's where that clickbait thing comes in. So with all this knowledge, we just have to remember that we cannot be lazy, because we are becoming lazy as a society. We are seriously just dumbing ourselves down. If you've seen WALL-E, Disney's WALL-E, yes, I'm bringing it up. If you've seen WALL-E and you see all those people in the giant spaceship, I mean, that's not far from the truth, guys. We are becoming incredibly lazy. And so we have to always be properly read and informed, and not just care, like, I only want a little bit of facts to determine what I believe in. I only want to believe in what the popular belief is. You have to do your own due diligence, because you yourself will be prone to being deceived and lied to. And that goes for anything. I'm not talking about any one subject. I'm talking about in general. We are smart. We are so much greater than we give ourselves credit for. And so we have the power and the ability to understand information and to apply it to our lives in a way that we know is correct. We have intuition. We have brains. We have logic. Somebody said that common sense is not so common anymore, and unfortunately it seems that way, but that's still a lie. Common sense is common. It's just most of us choose to ignore it. That's right. Most of us choose to ignore common sense. So, on the outskirts of things, yeah, it looks like common sense isn't so common, but it really is common. It's just we're not using it. We're really not using it. So, yeah, guys, so I just wanted to bring this to you, and hopefully, you see what I'm talking about. We're talking about the amount of information that we have in our everyday lives. And that brings me to a scripture found in Hosea chapter 4, verse 6 that says, "My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because they have rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee. And thou shalt be no priest to me. Seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy God, I will also forget thy children." So, yeah, I mean, this obviously, reading in context, there's a whole bigger thing behind it. But what really sticks out to me is, if you reject knowledge, God will reject you. Because God, I said in an earlier episode, God doesn't make man-made sense. God makes God's sense, but God's sense is perfect sense. And if you ask for wisdom, wisdom comes from God, right? So if you ask for wisdom, he will give it to you. And if you reject that, with wisdom comes knowledge. So if you reject that, then God will reject you, because you're not using your brain. You're not using common sense. Guys, we literally have no excuses. We have everything in our power, everything in our phones, the tip of our fingers, man. We got the whole world right there. And we're just not using it right. I mean, obviously there's many people who are, but as a whole. And I just want to make sure that if you are teetering off that and, you're finding yourselves slouching off and using your time unproductively, let me encourage you to be productive once again. Let me just motivate you back on the right path. That's the whole reason why I'm doing this particular topic for today's episode. So let this be an encouragement to you. Let this be somewhat of a wake-up call, a little bit of a nudge. Come on, we got to be convicted in things. We cannot just be offended by everything, because we don't have any excuses. We got everything we could ever want right here, right now. So let's use it to the best of our abilities. Sound good? All right, well, I want to know your thoughts, guys. I want to know your thoughts on this thing. Now, again, we're going to be doing live streams pretty soon, so we will be, opening the floor for live interactions. So you could just post your thoughts on the chat on Facebook and YouTube. But in the meantime, please go ahead and send your feedback to ampedradio@deathtoselfrecords.com. I would be happy to read your comments on the next episode. And also, I just want to know where you are with your life, because I really do care about you. You are worth it. You have a purpose. And I pray for you. I love you guys. So yeah, send it to ampedradio@deathtoselfrecords.com. And also, was going to say also something, but I can't remember what it was I was going to say. That tends to happen once you reach my age. Guy in the 90s, man. That's quite sad. All right, I'm just playing around, guys. But anyway, so this is episode 3 of Amped Radio, and we're gonna try to do live streaming next time around. If not, I will post updates. Oh, and yeah, definitely go to our website for updates. ampedradiolive.com. That's ampedradiolive.com. I've been working on the website like crazy. It's starting to look really good. You could catch the live stream there, and if you don't want to go on Facebook and YouTube, that is. And also all episodes are posted there, and you can actually go to any of the links where we stream our YouTube channel. I'm sorry, our podcast. So anyway, yeah, so connect with us there, connect with us on Facebook, connect with us on YouTube. We're all around, and really excited to see what's going on. So with that in mind, guys, I will see y'all next week. This is your boy SC of Amped Radio, CEO and founder of D2S Records. What would you like me to talk about in the next episode? Because we got a few more episodes before our first interview, and I'd really like to gauge your reactions so far. Let me know. But we're gonna close out with a couple songs, and so I'm just gonna introduce them, and then we are done for the week. Hope you guys are enjoying this. So coming up is T. Holmes with Run featuring Kai Landa. And again, I hope I'm getting that right. And then following that is a song from one of my previous albums called Never Take Us Down. That's the song title, with yours truly featuring J Deuce, T. Holmes, and Deshawn. It's your boy SA. Thank you guys for tuning in. I will see you guys next week, hopefully on the live broadcast. So take care, God bless, and yeah. All right. Talk to you guys soon. Have a good one.
Wanna turn your back and just walk away. Never thought sex would lead you to a place of devastation and crisis. Well, seek refuge and hope where Christ is. But it felt so good, now you regret it. Can't forget cause what you did is embedded in your mind. You're losing all desire to live, or because you're faced with the consequences of a kid. It's not over, you gotta chase truth. God will never leave or forsake you. He wants to be there, but it takes two. Run to his arms, he'll embrace you. Don't believe all the lies that you heard. Nope. Just live your life in the path of his word. There is hope in the presence of God. Just confess sin and surrender your heart. It ain't over.
It's not over. It's not over. It's not over. It's not over. It's not over. It's not over. To the arms of God.
Just run, run, run.
The words for me's elite. I don't think I'm ready to be a mommy or daddy. Well, sin gripped you and tricked you, it's unable to piece together the consequence of indulgent pleasure. It takes desires and feeds them very well with no regard. If one day her belly will swell, it's selfish. Doesn't care for your plans or direction, cause a high price results from your interaction. But hopeless is not your situation. No matter how bad the picture, God can change the illustration. For he is painted an image of mercy in the shape of a cross, though we're not worthy. He gave Jesus, believe and be forgiven for the moment of weakness that into you were given. The wages of your actions have been conquered. You can face this free unto your heavenly Father, cause it's not over. 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 To the arms of God.
Just run, run, run. They say the journey journey of adulthood's a lonely one. That's a lie, cause you'll never be the only one. Loneliness is an option that you choose when you fail to open your eyes to who's in front of you. What you wanna do? Would you rather live solo, where your soul feels so low? Or would you rather give God all your struggles and pains? Your pain and liquor won't take it away. Nah, you need a change, something to find hope in. Obama ain't helping, baby dad's choking. Responsibilities are scaring them off. Emotion-driven mouth, so you're telling them off. So your man's no help, and your fam won't help, and your friends won't lend no hands for help. You're looking for a helper that could comfort your soul. Just don't forget God, cause he's never let you go, no.
It's not over. 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 To the arms of God.
Just run.
From the vast, expansive universe, in a small city at the heart of the United States, one borough is responsible for the birth of hip-hop.
On the track with an army behind me. Say on the track with an army behind me. I say on the track with an army behind me. I say on the track. I say on the track, signified in the back. Got an army all behind me, opposition is whack. Devils try to take me down, but we're sending them back. This is not your opinion, this is a matter of fact. I'ma make the speakers blow, better keep it on track. Knowing who is on my side by the way that they act. Many people can rhyme, but not many can rap. If you don't respect the game, then you're caught in the trap. People try to take me down, but there's something they lack. It's a call of my God, it's picking up all the slack. Set yourself on the map, what you thinking of that? I'm believing in the meaning of the truth in this crap. Try it all you want, you'll never take me down. Get up off my block, you'll never take me down. Baby, it's how we live, you'll never take me down. Never, 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 no. Try it all you want, you'll never take me down. Get up off my block, you'll never take me down. Baby, it's how we live, you'll never take me down. Never, 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 no.
During this ride, make sure your belt is fastened. With J Deuces rapping, amazing happens. Before in high fashion, as the main attraction. Very little I'm lacking, many lines I'm packing. You want something real? Let us be your satisfaction. Similar to NFL Madden, these tracks I'm tackling. I look to inspire with the rhymes I'm stacking. It develops into verses supposed to be attractive. So it looks good, consider it lyrical fashion. Cause my concepts and metaphors are all matching. Ain't nothing about me fake, so you know I ain't acting. But I'm still entertaining some lights, camera, action. Put me in your headphones, your head is in the hurricane. That's how it is, the way I blow your mind away. Compare me with the Tampa Bay Rays, cause I'm the underdog fighting, taking out the devil all day.
Try it all you want, you'll never take me down. Get up off my block, you'll never take me down. Baby, it's how we live, you'll never take me down. Never, 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 no. Try it all you want, you'll never take me down. Get up off my block, you'll never take me down. Baby, it's how we live, you'll never take me down. Never, 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 no.
Honor God, that's the name that I'm living by. I'm saved from the sin and high, I'm praising the living God. I serve him, hate sin, I'm a vessel. I use gifts, bless you like het you. Bless me, Lord, teach me how to live life, imitating the perfect example that is Christ. Everybody dies, but not everybody lives. So we serve Jesus because life is who he is.
I'm in chains, this is far from a phase. I'm shooting every phrase, aim to give my God praise. In my sins I was chained, living something like a slave in a cage, so afraid. Now I'm boasting on his name. He is the lion, coming down from Zion. No lying or denying, after troubles come to triumph. Don't fear 2012, no mind hieroglyphics. I will not fidget, get my wisdom from his scriptures.
Try it all you want, you'll never take me down. Get up off my block, you'll never how we live. You'll never take me down. Never, 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 no. Try it all you want. You'll never take me down. Get up on my block. You'll never take me down. Baby's how we live. You'll never take me down. Never, 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 no.